together with that. I am a friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend.
Well, put your hands together for the sounds of freedom, everybody. I want us to celebrate the work of Jesse Jackson. Make some noise for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Listen, you go to www.rainbowpush.org and find out more information. Come on, freedom singers, say it one more time. I'm a friend.
I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. 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 He calls me friend.
Clap your hands, everybody. This is the Rainbow Push Town Hall, Saturday morning Town Hall. Somebody say, keep hope alive. Say, keep hope alive. Clap your hands one more time as we are keeping hope alive. We're dedicating this broadcast and this program to our very own John Mitchell. Let's put our hands together for John Mitchell. Make some noise for John Mitchell. His father passed this week, and what an amazing father John had, and building a family and raising a family. And John walks in the footsteps of his father. He is so dear to us. And John, you are in our prayers. Let's celebrate John Mitchell one more time. Then the one and only, who can say enough about the athlete, the activist, the civil rights pioneer, Jim Brown. Let's give it up for Jim Brown. We dedicate this to Jim Brown. You know, Jim Brown played a fullback for the Cleveland Browns and won an NFL championship. Every year he was an MVP while he played football, and of course changed so much of what we know about athleticism and civil rights. One more time for the incomparable Jim Brown. And of course, on yesterday in New York, the homegoing service of a beloved should be alive, should be well, and should have received the appropriate mental health services he so desperately needed. But as long as we remember him, he will not die. Jordan Neely. Let's give it up for Jordan Neely and his family. And Officer Ariana Preston. Let's celebrate the Preston family today. You know, we have some incredible officers who wear that badge and that uniform. They serve our city, and not just Chicago, all over the country. And Reverend Jackson has extended his well wishes and condolences to that family. And real soon we're going to honor some amazing men and women who wear that badge and wear that color and walk the streets of our city to protect us. There are some great people in the Chicago Police Department, and they deserve our support. Well, Brandon Johnson is the new mayor of the city of Chicago. Come on, make some noise for Brandon Johnson. Began this Monday his first term and his quest to make a better Chicago, and we're excited about his leadership, and he'll be addressing our annual 2023 International Convention this year. Let's give it up for our convention. Somebody say, Better Chicago. And we're working so very hard. Today we have a legal clinic, and Reverend Jeanette Wilson will come and talk about it, because we're addressing these inequities in the justice system, and criminal justice must be reformed. You know, we found out this week that Cook County has been giving out felony records to people who should not have them. Now, if you don't know this, the felony records are the new credit check. They run a check on your background, and for at least 3 years, they've been giving this information out, creating chaos and havoc in the lives of people who signed up for a deferment program, a diversion program. And the diversion program is supposed to give you a second chance where you can get your record expunged. You can get a fresh start to life. And that program has been grossly mismanaged with affording individuals to get this information that now that it is in the mainstream data networks, it's going to take some people a decade to get it off of their records. And Reverend Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push are going to fight to make sure that these individuals get their records expunged and corrected immediately. When you sign up as a non-violent offender and you have no previous felony record, once you've done all that's required of you to make good with society, you deserve a second chance. Anybody in here believe in a second chance? You deserve a second chance. And so we're going to fight for those brothers and sisters to get a second chance and those records to be corrected. In Denver, Colorado, of all places, one of the largest cities of conservative stronghold, an independent candidate became the new mayor of the city of Denver, Colorado. Make some noise for Denver, Colorado. A Nigerian immigrant entrepreneur, Dr. E.Y., wait until you got in the room, is now the new mayor of Denver, Colorado. And Denver, Colorado is what you call a battleground, part of a battleground state. And this young brother ran such an amazing campaign. Tuesday night, he shocked the world. And so better is not just happening in Chicago, it's happening in Denver as well. Let's give it up for the city of Denver. Let's give it up for the city of Denver. You know, Reverend Jackson's been really fighting for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when you look at what is happening, for example, in the state of Florida, it's almost like a virus, almost like a contagion. You go against the largest historically entertainment company in the world, where children and families go to have fun and recreate and have amusement and whatnot. And Disney was planning on building a $2 billion project right outside of Orlando, Florida. Would have hired 2,000 workers, listen to me, who would have earned the average of $120,000 a year. I don't know whether or not y'all believe that's a lot of money, but that really is a lot of money. And to attack them, 1,000 of the workers now have to be sent back to various parts of the nation because that project has been shut down. We've got to put America back to work. We've got to put America back to work. We've got to put America back to work. And the person who's worked the hardest to put America back to work is in the room, Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson. Come on, Congressman Jonathan Jackson is here. Those of you who are watching, www.rainbowpush.org, come on, make some noise for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Congressman Jackson's going to come momentarily to introduce his father. But the work that's happening in the Congress, Congressman Bobby Scott has now introduced a radical piece of legislation, 2 landmark pieces of civil rights bill that are going to have great impact on our ability to have what Reverend Jackson calls a level playing field as relates to Brown versus the Board of Education. This Strength in Diversity Act that offers federal funding to schools and districts that increase diversity amongst their student body to do 2 things: reduce racial and socioeconomic isolation. You know, we talk about financial literacy. We talk about our STEM program. We talk about historical black colleges and our tours and all of the things that we're doing with young people. We've got to have federal protections in place so that you don't close schools, you don't fire teachers, you don't eliminate the critical mass programs that these children need to become competitive in the global market. Give it up for what is happening at the Rainbow Push Coalition. Give it up for what is happening at the Rainbow Push Coalition. I'm so excited about what we're doing, but we cannot do it without your help and your assistance. And you can go to those platforms at the bottom of your screen. You can text the word PUSH to 41444, and you can make a contribution, or you can join today. $35 for a general membership, $15 for seniors and students. This is the kind of work that is worth the fight. Somebody say worth the fight. Say it one more time. Say worth the fight. I want you to put your hands together for the sounds of freedom as they come. We've got an exciting program prepared for you today. Make some noise, everybody. As they are coming, I want to make sure that when you go to that site, and you hit that membership tab, there are those of you who are members and you can make a contribution. And I want to thank you in advance for making that contribution. Reverend Jackson gets that report on a weekly basis, and it's exciting to see a smile on his face like he is this morning. Give it up for Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. How many know that at the name of Jesus, every knee has got to bow, every tongue has got to confess? Hallelujah. You know it, come on and sing with us in one voice.
the sounds of freedom. Clap your hands for the sounds of freedom. We got a lot of new things happening in Chicago and around the country. And one of the newest leaders coming out of our city council is here today, Alderman Lamont Robinson from the 4th Ward. Let's make some noise for him as he comes. Come on, Chicago, make some noise.
Good morning. I want to welcome the world to the 4th Ward, home of hope, home of Operation Push, home to the first black president, Barack Obama. I stand on the shoulders of Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson. And I want to thank him for speaking truth to power, not only on the south side of Chicago, but across the world. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank his partner in crime, Reverend Dr. Wilson, for her steadfast work, 365 days a year, to my Congressman Jonathan Jackson. And it's always good to see an educator, a colleague, Professor Bob Starks. Bishop Grant, thank you for this warm introduction. I just stopped by as the next leader of the 4th Ward to let you know not only is the 4th Ward moving in the right direction, but Chicago is moving in the right direction. I want to thank the constituents and the voters of the 4th Ward for electing me, but not only for electing me, for also electing Brandon Johnson. So as we look forward to moving our city forward, I know that there are a lot of ills, but hope is in the water, Reverend. Hope is in the season that we have new leaders that want to have a change in Chicago. And so I just stopped by to let you know in the 4th Ward, we will be moving forward with a vision to make sure, as Bishop said, putting folks to work. We have to be able to put folks to work across the city of Chicago. And for me, that work is around economic development. Economic development will transform our communities. We have to be able to support our black-owned businesses. We have to be able to expand our black-owned businesses and create opportunities. And so I will be leaning on my congressman. I will be leaning on my congressman to bring much-needed resources not only to the 4th Ward, but to the city of Chicago. And so I look forward to working with everyone under the sound of my voice to make sure that we bring excellence and justice to the city of Chicago. God bless. Thank you.
Come on, one more time for Alderman Lamont Robinson. Last week he was captivating last week in detailing his work in the first 100 days of his term, and he made a commitment to be here, and he is here. I want us to receive Congressman Jonathan Luther Jackson.
Thank you, Bishop Grant. Thank you, Rainbow Push. What can I say? It's always great to be back home. So this is where great things have begun, and let us not forget our roots on where we have gone. This is just a brief update, and I'm going to have to dart out. There's a naming of a Tuskegee Road out in Robbins, Illinois, that I must attend. And in memory of the great legendary football player, Jim Brown, we honor him not just for, as my father said downstairs, running through the hole on the field, but running through the lines of racial segregation, running through the lines of economic exploitation, being a man amongst men, and coming out of being able to co-join himself with the civil rights movement at the height of his popularity. And let this be a message for future and current athletes, that Muhammad Ali was 23 years of age when he said he didn't need a Rolls Royce, well, he didn't need diamonds and rings and gold and other things. He was willing to give up his title because he wasn't going to go to war to fight people when his religion commanded him to be a part of peace. When Jim Brown, at the age of 30, goes down to Mississippi to stand with Reverend Martin Luther King when it was not popular and it was not good for a commercial appeal. So we applaud and salute those men of integrity and courage who've made significant strides and made it all better for us. We applaud the life of Jim Brown. We also acknowledge the passing, the killing of a great, outstanding public servant, Ariana Preston, Officer Preston, and her mother. We will have the family out here real soon. They are still trying to make sense of all what happened. We don't know all the ways of God, but we are taught to trust them. I had the opportunity to speak with Mrs. Preston's, Officer Preston's mother. The young lady was coming back from work, 1 o'clock in the morning, in the same house with her mother and father that she grew up in, 24 years of age, was anticipating, looking forward to her graduation at the age of 24 for her master's in jurisprudence at Loyola University, from the neighborhood, lived in the neighborhood, giving back to the neighborhood, just didn't want to go into regular policing, wanted to understand jurisprudence, the whole justice, and bring that to our community. And 4 young people, 16, 17, 18, 19, that had done a string of robberies, killed her. My heart went out to all 5 families. 5 families lost their children in one day. And let someone, in the sound of my voice, someone's parents did not know their child was in the car. One person pulled the trigger, and 5 lives are gone, just for being around the situation. But ladies and gentlemen, on to the federal legislation and what's happening in Washington, D.C. The debt ceiling, debt limit, let's not get this language confused. Just imagine if you have the ability to issue credit to yourself. What a blessing and what a privilege it is to be able to do that. We are operating in an economic system that was founded in 1944, essentially in Brentwood regarding Maine, where we're able to now be the reserve currency of the world, meaning most transactions around the world are created and are communicated through the dollar. That is the reserve currency, and that is a blessing, that is a gift. To only be 5% minus 4% of the world's population, and at that time in 1944, transacting 75% of the economic activity around the world. Fast forward, by 1971, we went off of the gold standard, and we were still able to keep the reserve currency, and now we're transacting about 52% of all the world's transactions in our currency. We have the full faith and credit of our government, as guaranteed by the 14th Amendment, that we will not default on our debt. So we're giving a risk-free premium on our securities. What does that mean? When we put that treasury up, you need no other security. The U.S. Treasury. What happens if we default? People are going to have a collateral call. They're going to say, give me the U.S. security and something else to sweeten it, because I don't think you're going to be risk-free anymore. Ladies, it's 79 years later that we're on the precipice of default if we do not extend and raise the debt ceiling. Now, what does that mean in common terms? That means our interest rates go up, because currently when we have a structural deficit, we're asking people to pay for the current lifestyle that we have because we're not paying enough in taxes to sustain our standard of living. I think I'm losing somebody, Dad. Have you ever had a friend that bought a nice house, a nice condo, and you were in awe and so complimentary of them? And then they had great clothes, and then they got a nice car, but every time they asked you to take the ride with them, they asked you for some gas money. Every time you came to the house, their cupboards were empty, and they asked you to bring some food over. These people were living beyond their means. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living beyond our means. We're asking people to lend us money because we cannot afford our current lifestyle. The same thing has happened in the federal government. We are asking poor countries and developing countries to lend us money so we don't have to pay taxes. What's the short way out? Sometimes, like in the airline pilot, they say, put your mask on before you help someone else. Sometimes you got to look back before you go forward. We need to go back for 1 minute, repeal, reverse the Trump tax cuts so that the wealthiest people are paying their fair share and our budget deficit will start going down. The brilliant investor, Mr. Warren Buffett, told you, it's not right that I pay more in personal, that my secretary has a higher tax rate than me. The people that have capital are paying less taxes. The people that are working harder pay more. I think I lost somebody. In conclusion, when the team owner pays less in taxes than the team player, that's a problem. The people running on the field are taxed on an ordinary income. Those that own the team are taxed on a long-term interest. We need to have a fireside chat to let people know what's at stake. This $31.4 trillion, we are now being funded off of the tax receipts that are coming in. I know quite a few of the people in the Congress don't even know what it is. This is the red team versus the blue team, us versus them. They haven't read the memo. I know. I've taught it. I can still teach it. I can translate it. They don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I am confident a deal will be done. And what are they asking for in conclusion? They want to have cuts in the SNAP, the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. I serve on the Department of Agriculture's committee. 75% of the budget of the Department of Agriculture is in supplemental nutritional assistance, meaning people that don't have enough to eat, the government gives them insurance to go buy some food. The farmer's holy grail is crop insurance. I would like to see us in the future rename this not just supplemental nutritional, but we should call this food insurance. When people cannot afford to feed themselves, the government's insurance program kicks in for SNAP, kicks in for WIC, so we can feed our families. How does that apply to every day on the street? Between the ages of 18 and 25, the persons that join our military institutions, our armed services is a voluntary corps. Between the ages of 18 and 25, 77% of our adult young population does not qualify for health reasons and physical fitness standards to join our military. We are overfed and malnourished. If the average American today weighed what the average American weighed 40 years ago, we would save $1 trillion in health care. Obesity has now attacked our juvenile population. Type 2 diabetes is at an epidemic proportion amongst our population. We have to increase the food program. We're talking about $30,000 a year, roughly $15 an hour, roughly $590 a week, roughly $82 a day for a family of 3 to give them $2, $3 a day for supplemental nutrition. And we're balking at it. So we are not going back and compromising and negotiating on our debts. Our current debt situation are bills that we owed. We've lived beyond our means last year. That was our credit card that we issued to ourselves. That's our obligation. You pay your bills for our risk-free premium securities. In the future, we negotiate on appropriations, but you don't deal with your obligations on your debt that you owe. We can have a negotiation on the appropriations. I look forward to being back next week for part 2. Thank you so much.
Congressman Jonathan Luther Jackson. One more time, clap your hands for him. 1st Congressional District in Chicago. Let's now hear from our founder and president, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Come on, give it up for Reverend Jackson.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
Respect me.
Respect me.
Protect me.
Protect me.
Never neglect me.
Never neglect me.
I am
somebody.
Somebody. My mind is a pearl.
Is a pearl.
I can learn anything.
I do anything
in the world.
In the world.
If my mind
can
conceive it.
My heart
can believe it. I know I can achieve it. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. All precious. In God's sight. Everybody. Is somebody. Keep hope. Alive. Keep hope alive. Hear you scream. I want to express my thanks. Bishop Ramper doing such a great job here. We're in the middle of a lot of stuff going on here. I had a meeting this past week with the superintendent of police. We don't need another wide earth in town. See, police cannot stop crime. Criminals can stop crime. Police cannot stop crime. Criminals stop crime. But the thing that we must do, number one, I want to say, we've been invited out to get push going in Oklahoma. There was an office on Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. Last week, a sheriff was caught on tape. He looked for the lynching days returning. Oklahoma. He should be expelled from office. I want to thank Brendan for his leadership along the line of decisive people. I want to thank Cameron Barnes for leading the project. Give Cameron a hand. I want to talk a bit about the police question. We need to form a new covenant with police. A new covenant with police. The problem is that we don't trust police. Police don't trust us. Mutual distrust. In that gap, the gangsters operate. Mutual distrust. If you know that shot somebody, killed somebody, you're not going to tell it because it may be worse in the police system. You cover up. You cover up a killer, not a killer. You become a sanctuary. You kill one, you kill two, you kill three. We must expose danger. Police know somebody who violates somebody. They don't tell it. They're covering up too. We must move mutual distrust to mutual trust. I'm rather concerned that I was out at, I came out the hospital last year, went out to school, being with Simeon. 4 people have been killed, Lois, have been killed. So there was 14 students at school out of 1,400 scared to come to school. But about 6 students in the auditorium. She looked man and say, principal doesn't know, do you know who killed people? I said, yeah. She said, now, showed them body, said, no. Why? They were scared. Only because snitching. Only because snitching, telling on people. Said, if a black person had a gun in the locker, what would you do? We wouldn't tell it. I said, you know, if you get angry, the gun's not going to shoot rabbits, it's going to shoot you with the gun. So I want to step further. If a white student had a gun in the locker, we tell it. Here we tell it. You cannot racialize justice. See, we must not color justice as colors. Nobody has a right to have a gun at school. Nobody has a right to have guns at school. Dealing with that, if a white kills a black, riot time. Black kills a white, jail time. Black kills black, Miller time. If those 5 kids killed Preston, they had riots all over Chicago. 5 people killed her. I said, nobody has the right to kill anybody. Am I right about that? Now, as we seek to build a relationship, if you pass a fellowship church, here's the legacy of Reverend Evans, Reverend Jenkins, now you're there, Reverend Sharp. You had a great legacy. You were police, the legacy you inherited is in slavery time, police were used to capture us and bloodhounds. That's their role, right? Segregation, Jim Clark and Bull Connor protect the status quo. They beat us, shot the water hose on us, and killed us. In Selma, Alabama, blood sitting on the bridge. In Chicago, we had the case of Fred Hampton. Who was it? Henry. So police have a record. I think that we must redefine the record, however. I think the killing of a 24-year-old young woman, she has gotten her master's degree. We must reassess the relationship. New generation of police on the force. We must figure out how to trust them, and they have how to trust us. So we must stop allowing our communities be sanctuaries for killers. When the police killed Laquan McDonald, they should have had a press conference saying it was wrong. The silence is a cover-up, right? Police should not cover up crime. People come to me and say, we're going to have a police day here in 2 weeks. A lot of them, 1,000 of them will be here. Police chief will be here. How can we establish a bond, looking for more young blacks to join the police force? We must have a new bond, police. They with us. We got to respect them and protect them. We say respect and protect police. We must respect, protect the people. Now, we can resolve that. You're looking forward to it. When the president of the Federation of Police said that Brandon Johnson wins, there'll be blood in the street. He's on their payroll. They must reject that, or as he said it. So we'll have that kind of meeting next week. Derek, we're going to meet with police chief and others. In 2 weeks, we'll have a plan. We're going to form a new covenant with our community and police. A new covenant. Our community and the police. We operate in fear. Police scared to tell on each other. We're scared to tell who the killers are. You can't go far by fear, you go far by hope. You got with me, so we'll talk about that a little more next week. Second, I want to talk about Oklahoma. Number 50 out of 51 in voting. I mean, people have been turned up by the process. We have the ability to change Oklahoma, change Wall Street. So I think that when stores close, we should, probably about the food desert, we should open store ourselves. We should hombre. Talk to me, somebody. If they close the jewel store, let's buy a jewel store, right? We're qualified to run stores. So we're qualified to run grocery stores. If they leave, we can't get a car, but where they go, let them go on. Now, last point would be simply this. The college students this year must have an agenda. They must stop the violence. When you go into some guns, manufacture civil disobedience, break it up. When young America comes alive, on tomorrow, not yesterday, to change things for the better. There's not a single gun shop in Chicago. Not a gun shop owned by blacks in America. Blacks own any gun. Not trust own guns. You hear me? Blacks do not own a gun shop in America. We're a target market for gun manufacturers. And they say, you better get a gun because your neighbor has one. They manipulate fear. We'll break that up too, right?
That's right.
The other thing, say guns, kill people in churches, schools. We must stop the violence. Secondly, we must demand student loan debt removed. Pick up some banks. Pick up some banks. Also, we must fight for a better commitment to, how can I put it, a renewed commitment to economic development, to voting, automatic voter registration. The secret about this campaign, Mr. Mohammed, is that 4,000 inmates voted for Brandon Johnson. 8,000 high school seniors voted for him. And then anybody's poll, 4,000 at Cook County voted for the first time for him. I can miss him if they vote, they can vote term for judges. They get time, say students in jail can vote. If they're there on waiting to be tried, vote. High school seniors, 21,000 high school seniors, Chicago. You can convene them in one place, register them to vote. What's fun about Chicago voting this year? You walk in, they say, are you ready to vote? You say, no. Register right there and vote right there. That's a big advancement beyond what we've been historically. So we have reason to stand up and fight back. So we're going to go to Oklahoma. So I'm able to go out there, stand with them as they rebuild Black Wall Street. They can't wait for Atlanta to build it. We'll build a Rainbow Push community banks for reparations. We must begin the reparation process ourselves. We cannot wait for somebody to repair our damage done. They profit from the damage done to us. Now, in terms of this border crisis, we must get involved in that, Betty, because these are human beings walking 1,000 miles. Come from Guatemala, come from Cuba, come from Venezuela. Our policy in Latin America is driving them here. We're Latin America. When Haitians come, we're going to take them back home. We must fight for Haitians. Haitians fought for us. And we're the only nation in the world that's a debtor. America's a predator. The predator, America's a debtor. We were fighting for the revolution against France and Britain. 1,000 Haitians came to Savannah, fought for us, died for us. Matter of fact, as a mark indicating in Savannah, Georgia, 1,000 Haitians came in and died. And guess what? They went back to Haiti. Susan Lovers were defeated France. We responded to that by doing what? Embargo in Haiti for 30 years because Lovers defeated him. So my friends, let's fight back. Bishop, let's talk back.
Come on, give it up for Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Listen, I want to seize this opportunity because this work comes with oh, you can do better than that. This is the one and only. Give it up for Reverend Jesse Jackson. This work comes with a great deal of weight and expense. On your table is an envelope that I need you to put something in that envelope, either $35 for a membership or a $100 contribution. If you'll make a $100 gift or contribution, raise your hand. I want your support. We need your support. You can go to your cell phone and mobile bank right now and text the word PUSH 41444 and give a contribution right now. At the bottom of the screen are any number of platforms, but I want to make sure that you don't leave this room without making some type of investment in this freedom fight and this freedom fighter, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Thank God for Rainbow Push. Thank God for Rainbow Push. Thank God for Rainbow Push. You know, we have a Democratic option, and as we had Alderman Lamont Robinson, we have a Democratic option. We have 22 police districts now, as Dr. Sparks is going to come momentarily. And it's so important for you to know this Democratic option. And he was elected as one of our police district council members from the 2nd Police District. Let's give it up for Alexander Perez as he comes.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really do appreciate it. It is an honor to be here. I do appreciate it. I'm going to keep it brief. It's really hard to follow up with everybody that's come before. Say the best for last, I guess. Hey. My name is Alexander Perez. I am one of the new police district council members, specifically for the 2nd District, which we are in right now. The 2nd District, for folks that don't know, is from 31st all the way to 61st. So encompasses Hyde Park, Bronzeville, Washington Park. I'm a Bronzeville resident myself, so welcome to the 2nd District for anybody who doesn't know the 2nd District. For those who don't know, our office was created to address some of the issues that have been brought up today. We exist to bring about transparency, accountability, and public safety. You know, as has been said a few times today, it is a new day in Chicago. I'm really excited to be part of that new day. And I'm really excited that Mayor Brandon Johnson won, because I think that's another feather in the cap for our office and legitimizes us. For the first time, Chicago has elected individuals that represent them in regards to who polices them and how our communities are policed, which has never happened in the city of Chicago. So across the city of Chicago, we have 22 police districts. Each police district has 3 individuals that were democratically elected. And again, we are here to serve on behalf of transparency, accountability, and public safety. We serve 4-year terms. I do want folks to understand that it took us some time to get here, and it's going to take us some time to get out of here. We do serve 4-year terms, so there's a good chance that the issues that we're facing right now are not going to be solved in those 4 years. But it's going to take a village, and that's what this process is, and that's what we represent, the village. And so what I will ask, and what I will say as I end, is that please get involved. Wherever you're from in the city of Chicago, you have a police district, 1 through 22. We, ourselves, can only do so much. It's going to take each and every one of you guys to be involved and support us and our office. Our office has never existed before, and we're building the ship as we are rowing. So you can understand there might be some planks missing, all right? So we're doing the best that we can. Change will come. Change has come. I stand here before you as a representation of that change. In ending, I do want to say that our next meeting is June 15th. We're going to be at King Prep High School. Doors open at 6. The meeting starts at 6:30. There are 2 other individuals. I'm not the only person. Again, there's 3 other individuals. I am the district chair, so I lead the district on behalf of the 2nd District. But yeah, June 15th, please come out. We would love your support. It's going to take a village, and that village is y'all. Appreciate it. Thank you.
One more time for Alexander Perez. You know, later on this evening, as Dr. Starks gets ready to come, a historic presentation. The grandson of Nelson Mandela is in Chicago, Nkosi Mandela. Let's give it up for Nkosi Mandela being in Chicago. The Chicago Teachers Union. I want our friend from the U.S. Palestinian Network, Mohammed Sakari, to come. Let's give it up for him. They're hosting Nkosi Mandela. Oh, make some noise. This is historic.
Bishop Grant, thank you all. Bishop Grant and I would say, have become friends in the fight for justice for a young man in our community who was almost beat to death by Oak Lawn Police Department officers. Bishop Grant and the Rainbow Coalition has stood from day one, side to side, with us. I'm going to be brief because I'm here to talk about this evening. Bishop Grant mentioned that we have, hopefully folks recognize the name Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela's grandson, Saviwe Mandela, who is the chief of the Mandela family now, is a parliamentarian for the ANC in the South African Parliament, is here to speak in Chicago at a free event. It's 7 p.m. tonight, doors open at 6:30. It's at the Chicago Teachers Union building, which is 1901 West Carroll. It's right on Damon and Carroll, just north of the Bulls Stadium. And we're hosting him on the occasion of the 75-year anniversary of what our community, the Palestinian community, calls the Nakba, or the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. So why am I here at Rainbow Push to talk about this? Just to speak briefly about history. It's so important for us to remember that Reverend Jesse Jackson was a trailblazer in so many ways, and for our community, not only did he make sure that the Palestinian refugee population in this city, which is the largest in the United States, was part of the original Rainbow Coalition, but also he was a trailblazer in calling for Palestinian statehood in the Democratic National Convention when nobody else had the courage to do so. This is, you know, the alderman had said earlier, we truly stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, and our community owes a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid for people like Reverend Jesse Jackson, who understood deeply that liberation of all people is intertwined. And so it is in that spirit that our event is being hosted tonight. We would love to see you all. Again, it's a free event, 7 p.m., doors open at 6:30, 1901 West Carroll at the Chicago Teachers Union, to hear none other than the grandson of Nelson Mandela speaking. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Reverend Jackson.
Come on, somebody say free at last. Free at last. Let's give a round of applause for the memory of President Nelson Mandela. It's a big lot of change happening in Chicago and around the country. There is a prolific scientific professor in the room who is able to articulate this. Let's give it up for Dr. Bob Starks.
Good morning. I have a 20-minute speech, but I'll cut it down. I'm glad to be here because we are celebrating the election of Brandon Johnson, Mayor of the City of Chicago. Let's give him a big round of applause. I'm going to talk a little bit about the historical precedent that has been set by Mr. Johnson. First of all, this is the first election since 1983 in which the black community has been joined by the progressive community all over this city to elect a mayor. That's a major, major change in the election process. Secondly, I'd like to say that I thought Mayor Johnson was a Baptist minister in his presentation at the inaugural. He talked about spirituality and the soul of Chicago. And if we understand what the soul of Chicago really means, I'd just like to take a minute and take you back to Micah 6:8 from the Bible. If you understand spirituality, you will be dedicated to this excerpt from the Bible, that indeed, what does God require of you? To love, mercy, do justly, and walk humbly with thy God. That's the soul that Mr. Johnson was talking about, i.e., the cooperation of all of us, the love, the understanding of all of us as a people. That is monumental. Secondly, he was a speaker that talked about a city that included everybody. He started out with a performance by the famous Bantu dancers, which was absolutely great. Nothing like that has ever happened at an inauguration. And then he followed with a representative from every racial and ethnic group in this city. Again, a first. He was also being elected with 20 black aldermen, the highest number of black aldermen in the city council in the history of this city, almost 50 alderpersons, and the first elected Asian person, a young lady from China. We are so happy that we have a very diverse city council. Since time is running out, let me just go to my last point. And that is, we have to be very careful in cooperating with Mr. Johnson. The best example is the moniker of the Vallis people, who said that Brandon Johnson wants to defund the police. That was furthest from the truth. He started out by talking about enforcing the police to make sure that we have better detectives. And he actually is talking about redefining the police and the police behavior, i.e., he does not want to have the kind of things that have been policy within the city, i.e., chokeholds, no-knock raids by the police, Laquan McDonald kinds of things, okay? Now, in order to change that, we have got to be cooperative, because one of the first things he's going to have to do is look at the contract of the Chicago Police Union. That contract needs to be changed. He's got to have the cooperation of the city council. He's got to have the cooperation of the justice system, because obviously they're going to go to court to try to stop any changes in their union contract, right? So we, as citizens, must support him in this action, which means then that we should be, overall, we should critique him, but not engage in silly criticism and arguments, which fits right into the hands of the press and our enemies. Thank you very much.
One and only Bob Starks. Give it up for him, everybody. You know, it's important that you understand what this work is all about, and Dr. Starks was poignant in helping us understand this is not about defunding the police. We've got to define the police. And that is important for black and brown communities to have a role and responsibility and not be reactive but proactive. One more time for Dr. Bob Starks. You're going to hear more from him. You know, this is Mental Health Month. Look at somebody and tell them, watch out for your mind. It's Mental Health Month. Tell somebody else, watch out for your mind now. It's Mental Health Month. We have a mental health professional here, and her and her husband and children have just become a part of our Rainbow Push platform. Let's receive Sister Stephanie Young right now. Clap your hands.
Good morning. Thank you, Bishop Grant. Thank you, Rainbow Push. My name is Stephanie Young. I am the legacy of Rainbow Push. I started at Rainbow Push back in 2012. I grew up as an adult here. I met my husband here. I have a family here. And I just stand before you today as a licensed clinical social worker. I am the founder and lead therapist of an organization called Brown Hue Mommy Tribe. And the goal is to support mommies of color, normalizing the woes of motherhood, as well as celebrating each other along the way. And a big part of what we do, and my position as a mental health advocate is to really pour into the African American community as far as investing in our mental wealth, right? We are very intentional about preparing for retirement with putting into our 401ks, our pensions. When we have pain in our body, we may or may not go check into the doctors, but we don't do the same thing when it comes to our mental health. We push it down, we put it back to the back of our mind, we push through, we gotta be strong. But as Reverend Jackson talked about, as far as the distrust, the mutual distrust between the police and the people, that's trauma. Okay, life is lifing, and we have to be intentional about giving space to our mental health to heal and to build so that we can continue to do the work that we're supposed to do. We can be intentional about showing up as our best selves in the world. So in this Mental Awareness Month, I want you guys to be intentional about investing into your mental wellness, right? Being intentional about seeking out therapeutic support, evidence-based practices to make sure that you can heal from the different things that are happening in our world. So that's a big part of what I stand for. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention as being a legacy of Rainbow Push, I am also a member of the Loop Council, the legacy of Operation Push, and it is a young professional arm of Rainbow Push. And we are intentional about bringing young faces, 18 to 45-year-olds, young professionals into this space. We don't want the legacy of Rainbow Push to die. And so we want to be intentional about filling this space, the building, as well as the community with faces and young people of Rainbow Push doing work, still continuing the work that Reverend Jesse Jackson does every day. So thank you so much for your time.
One more time for Stephanie Young. It's a big deal standing up here. Y'all make some noise for her. One thing as a therapist to be sitting across and talking to somebody about their problem and looking at all of y'all's faces. One more time for Stephanie Young. Come on. You know, this is real. This is real. The Journal of American Medical Association released this week an alarming study. 1.6 million black people have died because of racial inequality in the United States of America in the past 22 years. Break that music down. 1.6 million black people have died due to racial inequities, racism, structural racism in America. 1.6 million. 1.6 million. If mental health is not important, I don't know what is. Give that sister another round of applause, because we have got to realize that the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson far outreaches what the expectation of those who thought it would be. They thought the bullet would have taken out the leadership. But for over 50 years, Reverend Jesse Jackson has been on the front lines with Rainbow Push, and we're alive and well. You know, our annual convention is coming up and we need volunteers. Our annual convention is coming up and we need sponsors and supporters July 15th through the 19th. It is an amazing opportunity right here in Chicago on the campus of the University of Chicago at the Rubenstein Forum. It is going to be a convention you don't want to miss, but we can't do it without you. And so you can go to www.rainbowpush.org. You can volunteer online, or you can see Miss Tedra Smith before you leave here. Stand up, Tedra. Wave your hand. Y'all give it up for Tedra Smith. She will not let you out of this room without volunteering for something. You're going to volunteer to do something. But last but not least, we need your financial support. We need a contribution and investment from you. When you look at the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson. By the way, doesn't he look amazing today? I said, doesn't he look amazing today? Doesn't he sound amazing today? Make some noise for Jesse Jackson. We cannot do this work without your support. Cannot do it. And it goes without saying, the work of Reverend Dr. Jeanette Wilson, our National Executive Director of Push Excel. Make some noise for her. She's got young people. I want her to come just momentarily, but we need your help. There's an envelope on your table. I need you. I want to make this appeal one more time. If you'll give $100, I want you to stand and raise your hand because I need your help. Reverend Jackson needs your help. We need your help. If you give $50, raise your hand because these contributions help us serve so many people. It's our food justice program, our historically black college tour, our day-to-day benevolence to people who walk into this building literally 6 to 7 days a week, and we never turn anybody away. And that's the work, leadership, and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson. There's a hand up over here. There's a hand up over here. You can text the word PUSH to 41444, and you can give online via your cell phone, your tablet, or your desktop. And I want to thank you in advance. You know, as we talk about all of these challenges that we have, one of the things that people need, they need legal assistance. And I want Reverend Jeanette Wilson to come and talk about our legal clinic. It's absolutely free, and our partners are working alongside with us to make sure that people get legal assistance. Receive Reverend Jeanette Wilson.
I want to thank you, Bishop Grant, thank Reverend Jesse Jackson. We've started a legal clinic at Push for since 1971. We've had lawyers coming and donating their time to screen and help those who are in need of a legal counseling, legal assistance. And so today we have the Illinois State Bar Association, members of the Cook County Bar Association downstairs waiting to receive and to talk to people who have various legal issues. Some of them are needing expungement. We have expungement counseling. If you are looking for housing assistance, you feel like you're going to be evicted, you haven't paid your property taxes, we have a property tax desk right downstairs up front to talk to you about that. We have lawyers who can help. If they can't help you, they know where to refer you to for your legal problems. And we're doing this at least once a month at Push. We want more lawyers to join us. We have to do pro bono legal services as lawyers, so this is your opportunity to come to Push, have a ready-made audience of people, and get your pro bono credit, and at the same time serve the community. This is 69 years since the Brown versus the Board of Education case. It is important that we review Brown, which was started to look at desegregating schools, school resources, school staff, and now as we look 69 years later, our schools are more segregated than ever before. Now they're pulling back all of the things that we have opened up our schools to teach, like inclusive history of African Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, Chinese Americans, so that when our children attend schools, they would receive the kind of education that would prepare them to live on the globe, live on the planet called Earth. And so now you see in Texas and several southern states, there's a pullback of education. And we're going to be talking about that at the convention. We're going to be talking about it more and more every single Saturday leading up to the convention. And then on next Saturday, we're going to talk about what does it mean to celebrate Memorial Day. The following Saturday, Reverend Jackson is convening police and the police district councils, as well as you and I, to talk about this violence and policing. We also will have on June 3rd, along with the policing, we'll have a power of parents. Parents, you have to control your children. There's something that's called neglect. When your child is out after curfew, that's a parental issue, not just a child issue. When 12-year-olds are downtown jumping on cars and cursing out police, parents, where are you? And so if the parents are not there, faith community, we're going to step up. But June 3rd, we're going to talk about our role in stemming this violence. Reverend Jackson has called us to open up. Our Push Excel program will be open. When school closes, we're opening up. Send your children to us that we might teach them STEM, teach them how to play team sports. So we are looking to convene coaches, parents, and people so that we can provide for our children so that they are not criminalized because they will be engaged in meaningful, positive educational activity, adult supervised. So June 8th, you can meet us here because June 8th, that Monday, our children will be here at Push, some of them. Now, every pastor, if you got a building, you need to figure out what you can do in your church community. Every faith leader, it's our time to step up and stand up. Our children are being taught by people in the street. It's our time to teach them morals, teach them a more excellent way. Team sports build character. And so we're going to be building character starting on June 8th, that Monday. Push Excel. We're teaching esports, we're teaching jumping. They don't know how to jump double dutch. They don't know how to jump rope. They don't know how to play pinky with a softball. They don't know how to run track. Well, we're going to show them how to run so that as they run around that track, when they get home, they'll go to bed. We keeping hope alive. Thank you so much.
Let me say this, number one. We're going to have a brief meeting right now on the convention. 7 8 minutes. Volunteers. Friday and Saturday, we're bringing in people, 200 delegates for the campaign. Come from California, or all that. It's probably the biggest delegation. For the campaign, right? Yes. Then that Saturday night, show the film, Save the Children. Sunday's gonna be church day. A big gospel concert that night. Look at Joe Biden to come here that Sunday if we can. Monday's education day. We've lost our thirst for education. Not this opportunity. Jackie Jackson's mother had 4 or 5 children. Jackie's her sisters and brothers. When she was 20 years old. She never lost her thirst for education. At 53, she learned how to read and write again. She went to Nelson Junior Community College. 2 years. Hampton University finished. A master's degree by the time she's 70 years old. She was having a thirst for education. We have lost some of that desire. On that Tuesday, business and labor. Work and get paid for working. It was a women's luncheon. Now, I want you to volunteer for some part of it. You volunteer for the convention? Raise your hand. You be some part of the convention. You raise your hand. You want to volunteer for the convention? Come forward, please. You volunteer for the convention. Come forward. Jason, volunteer to be a part of the convention. Volunteer for the convention. Now we got block him here. You're blocking my view. White brothers, where y'all from? White people. Yeah, fine. Idris.
We shall overcome someday. Say, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. We want to thank Spring Arbor College. Put your hands together for Spring Arbor College being with us. Those of you who signed up to volunteer today, if you want to go online, you can email Tedra Smith at tsmith@rainbowpush.org, tsmith@rainbowpush.org. Everybody is standing. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. You want to sign up or go online? T. Smith. We shall overcome someday.
I want you to be a part of the convention, okay? Cause the convention is if you're a member, you get the convention membership card. $35 cost the convention. Now members join now. Now I want to allow that. Spring Arbor, you guys in the convention, okay? Well, we can meet with Bernie Sanders maybe that Thursday. We'll have action this fall. We'll fight back, all right? We'll fight back together. Lois, volunteer Convention Center. You go volunteer. Meet us in the chapel right now. Hello? Volunteer convention, every shop right there. Go down as a matter of fact. Every shop. Some of y'all didn't get no donation either. All y'all volunteers for the convention with every chapel right now. Every chapel downstairs right now, okay? Oh, let's see you as some person.
We shall overcome. Come on. We shall overcome someday. Let's sing it together one more time. We shall overcome. Hey, we shall overcome. I want to thank you so very much. Give it up one more time for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Clap your hands for Reverend Jesse Jackson, Spring Arbor College, all of our guests. The one and only Dr. Bob Starks. Thank you so very much. Those of you who are here for the convention review, staff will take you through the review momentarily. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. Now may the grace of God and the sweet communion of the Holy Spirit rest, rule, and abide henceforth and forevermore. And let us continue to fight for freedom. Amen.